You can do whatever you want to do and you can go wherever you want to go. But consider this. You ain't doing nothing and you ain't going nowhere. The slave masters don't have to chain you down or whip your black ass anymore because you ain't doing nothing and you ain't going nowhere. You have freedom in name, but not in definition. You are not a slave in the name, but you are in definition. The definition of the word slave means one who is dominated by some outside influence and having no personal rights or freedom. Now, are you dominated by some outside influence other than your own internal influence? Do you have your personal rights and your true freedom? Do you really know and understand what freedom actually is? Have you ever truly experienced true freedom? Do you even remember what true freedom was all about? What do you know other than what white people have told you? Nothing. What do you know other than what black folks have told you that they heard from other white folks? Nothing. Yes, the physical slavery is somewhat over, but what about the biological slavery? What about the economical slavery? What about the sociological slavery? What about the spiritual slavery? What about the psychological slavery? The physical chains were just one aspect amidst the many horrors of slavery. The chains are off our hands, but we ain't producing nothing. The chains are off our feet, but we ain't going nowhere. Why? This is because those physical chains were the least of our worries. We still have the biggest chain of all wrapped around our minds, hearts, and souls. Your mind is still locked down, and it is your mind that controls your hands and your feet. That's like having a brand new shiny car, but the engine is locked up. Having a car that can't go nowhere is just like not having a car at all. What are you doing? Nothing. Where are you going? Nowhere. The white man took the chains off our hands and feet because we stopped swinging and we stopped kicking. So why not take the damn chains off? We have been in the chains for so long that we have forgotten why the white slave master put them on us in the first place. We have forgotten the original reason and purpose for the physical chains. The chains were to hold you down, but you ain't trying to get up. The chains have outlived their purpose. Think about that for a while. Stop reading for a second. I want you to think. I'm going to read that again. The chains were to hold you down, but if you ain't trying to get up, then the chains have outlived their purpose. Let us attempt to make a point a bit clearer by using an example. I want you to stay open-minded and stop thinking like the slave that you were made to be. Let us use a hypothetical example along with our imaginations. The relationship between a dog and his master can be directly parallel to the relationship between the black people and their white slave masters for the past 4 centuries in America. This is very true. I want you to open your mind and really think about this objectively. Consider this. Suppose that tomorrow, for some reason, you become interested in getting a pet dog for your family or household. Suppose that then you go to the pet store to look around and you find a dog that you're interested in buying. You then purchase the dog and bring it back to your home. Now, once you get home, you notice that the dog is a bit active and untamed. So you purchase a collar for the dog and a chain and chain the dog to a tree in the backyard. Since the dog is untamed, you have begun training the dog to obey your commands. You can eventually train this dog to do everything, from catching a frisbee to attacking an enemy of yours at a single command. But before you train your new dog to do all of these other things, you must first train your dog not to run away from you and to return to you at your immediate command, right? You have to keep choking the dog with that collar until the dog stops trying to run away from you. You also have to give the dog food and water on a daily routine schedule so that it will be totally dependent upon you for physical and nutritional survival. The dog will forget how to independently hunt and find food for itself. Therefore, persuading the dog away from any desires to flee away from you or to do for itself. Also, I must add that anytime the dog does anything to disobey you, you will either whip it or deny it its scheduled meal or food. Also, anytime the dog is extra obedient to your wishes, you give the dog extra food and a pat on the head. This psychological training is absolutely necessary to gain control over your animal or nigger. You must break down its free spirit, tame it, and make it totally dependent upon you. This is the only way to win your animal or nigger's obedience permanently. After a while, you will have your dog so obedient and so well trained that you can take the collar off the dog and unchain the dog from the tree. The dog can now roam freely because you have it so well trained that it will run to you at your very command. The dog isn't going anywhere. The dog now loves you. The dog loves you because you feed it every day. It is happy and satisfied to get dog slop and water every day, even though you may be in the house eating a full steak dinner every day. The dog believes that it deserves nothing better than dog slop. The dog is so grateful to you because it remembers those days that you denied it food for reason of its disobedience to you. And the dog has forgotten how to provide for itself, like in the days of its independence. The dog loves you because it remembers when it was chained to that tree in the backyard. It also remembers the day you unchained its neck from the tree. So the dog licks your hand every time it remembers that you set it free. But what the dog has failed to remember is that you were the same no-good bastard that chained it to the tree in the first place. Yes, that dog or nigger has totally forgotten that you were the one who purchased him. Purchased him from the bondage of one man to be under your bondage. The dog has been psychologically tricked by you, so the dog does not recognize you for who you really are. The dog has forgotten that you are the no-good bastard that originally locked him up. So you had better not let that dog remember that fact. Because as soon as that dog is reminded of that fact, that will be the same day that the dog bites you in your ass. That dog will then proceed to bite everybody's ass in the family, and that has been smiling at it for all these years. The dog will then leave your house, never to come back again. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you really understand what's being said to you? Think about it. Really think about it. Now, if your dog or nigger does leave you one day, how will you handle it? How will you react? Will you react violently and chase the dog? Will you mourn over the fact that your dog has left you? After all, dog is man's best friend. You know what they say. Some of my best friends are black. Oops, I mean dogs. Oops, I mean niggas. If your dog leaves you, will you miss the way it used to curl up around your feet and lick your boots clean? Will you miss the way it used to do anything just to get you to pat its head? It just loved your attention. Will you miss the way it used to dance and wag its tail for your entertainment? Will you miss the dog's protection? Will you miss the way it would attack any of your enemies, even if the enemies were other dogs or niggas that look just like it? You would not even have to break a sweat. The dog will fight all of your fights for you. Will you miss the loyal service of your well-trained dog? I wonder if you will. I really wonder.